Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my parents' basement, your parents' basement, our parents' basement, and perhaps more importantly, welcome to another episode of Home Video History. In celebration of the forthcoming 4K of Tron, we are going to be looking back on the 1982 science fiction action-adventure film written and directed by Steven Lesberger and all of its home video history. Tron was first released in theaters on July 9th, 1982, opening in 1,091 theaters between the United States and Canada, and grossing $4 million on its opening weekend. It went on to gross a further $33 million in the United States and Canada and $17 million overseas, for a worldwide gross of approximately $50 million, which was Disney's highest grossing live-action film for 5 years. In addition, the film had $70 million in wholesale merchandise sales. Despite the gross and merchandise sales, however, it was seen as a financial disappointment, and the studio wrote off some of its $17 million budget. Tron received positive reviews from critics and was praised for its groundbreaking visuals and acting, while its storyline was criticized for being incoherent. Receiving Best Costume Design and Best Sound nominations at the 55th Academy Awards, it was however disqualified for Best Visual Effects, as the Academy felt the use of computer animation was cheating. Spawning multiple video games, arcade tie-ins, and becoming a multimedia franchise expanding into comic books, Tron rose to a prominent level as a cult film. But what of its home video history? Tron was originally released on VHS, Betamax, Laserdisc, and CED video disc on December 1st, 1982. This is personally interesting to me because it came out physically to be owned at the home the same year that it debuted in theaters. To me, this is a really oddity for films in the 1980s. What isn't an oddity for films in the 1980s is the fact that it was cropped to a 4:3 pan and scan format. Tron would be re-released on VHS 4 more times over the next 13 years, again on November 5th in 1985, then 2 years later on July 10th in 1987, then 6 years later on February 12, 1993, and then lastly on May 16th in 1995. The best release of Tron then came out on November 22nd, 1995, with a Laserdisc edition known as the Exclusive Archive Collection. This returned Tron to its proper ratio of 2.20 to 1, and came with a great influx of special features that had previously not been included. These included such things as audio commentaries, early development storyboard, pre-production test, and computer-generated imagery, character design, visual effects, deleted scenes, theatrical trailers, and a nice 2-page lithograph insert. It also had a digital THX master transfer presented entirely in the full feature CAV standard play format, and a painstakingly restored from the original 65mm VistaVision and Super 70 elements. By 1993, Tron had grossed $17 million in video rentals. On May 19, 1998, Tron was released for the first time on DVD. However, this release is infamously a terrible one. It was bare bones with a lack of any special features previously seen on the Laserdisc set, and also used the same anamorphic video transfer from the previous Laserdisc set. 2 years later, on January 15, 2002, the film received a 20th anniversary collector's edition release in the form of both a VHS and a special 2-disc DVD set. This set featured a new THX mastered anamorphic video transfer and included all of the special features from the Laserdisc Archive Collection release, plus an all-new 90-minute Making of Tron documentary. 3 years later, Tron would be released on UMD on June 21st, 2005. Now, if you don't know what UMD is, it's a Universal Media Disc, and it's currently discontinued, but it was used and developed by Sony for its PlayStation Portable handheld gaming and multimedia platform. The primary application for the UMD discs was as a storage medium for PSP games, but the format was also used for the storage of motion pictures and to a lesser degree television shows for the playback on the PSP. The video is encoded with an H.264 MPEG-4 AVC format with the audio of A-Track 3 Plus or PCM. The video on UMD is typically encoded as a 720 by 480 resolution, but is scaled down when displayed on the PSP. To date, there are around 1,500 films released on UMD. Around 1,000 are common for all regions, and another 500 have region exclusives. To tie in with the home video release of its sequel Tron Legacy, the original Tron was finally re-released by Walt Disney Studios Home Entertainment on a special edition DVD and for the first time on a Blu-ray disc on April 5, 2011, with the subtitle The Original Classic to distinguish it from its sequel. Tron was also featured in a 5-disc Blu-ray combo with the 3D copy of Tron Legacy. The Blu-ray of Tron had a resolution of 1080p and an aspect ratio slightly larger than the original aspect ratio of 20.21 to 1, with a 5.1 DTS HD master audio. The Blu-ray's remaster was oversaw by the director, who had made several seemingly minor but hotly debated alterations, removing countless scratches, blemishes, and marks. And now, in anticipation of the third installment in the Tron series, on September 16th, 2025, we are all in anticipation for Disney to release Tron for the first time on 4K in a collectible steelbook case. And per Disney's Director of Restoration and Library Management, Kevin Schaefer, the original 65mm negative was scanned in 8K resolution, the VistaVision at 6K, and the 35mm at 4K by PhotoChem. All of this material was then output at 4K and sent to Picture Shop for color grading and prime focus for extensive picture restoration, which included dirt stain and scratch removal, warping correction, and damage restoration. This was a 9-month process, all managed by the Walt Disney Film Restoration Team, with its supervision of director Steven Lesberger. For its release on Ultra HD, the resulting 4K digital intermediate, framed at the 2.20 to 1 aspect ratio, was also graded for high dynamic range, compatible with both Dolby Vision and HDR10, and encoded for the release on a 66GB disc. Additionally, much of the special features that we've seen throughout the Tron release has been carried over for the Blu-ray bonus features on this 4K release, with the Tron Phenomenon and Phototronology produced for the original Blu-ray, the Making of Tron and the feature-length documentary produced for the Robert Meyer Burnett 2002 Special Edition DVD release, and the rest of the content created for the Archive Collection Laserdisc that we previously mentioned. All this is included on the Blu-ray in the 4K. Tron quickly became a cult classic that everyone could return to live out their sci-fi fantasy action adventures, and now, with its upcoming release on 4K, we will likely see it as a grand spectacle and as great as it originally was in 1982 when it played in the cinemas. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. What do you think of these Tron video releases for our home pleasures, and which ones do you personally have in your collection? But other than that, like, comment, subscribe, do what you gotta do, but make sure you're here next time so I can see you in my parents' basement, your parents' basement, our parents' basement.